let's talk about the esports stuff now, of what we've done so far, and like what we're planning to do.
So I think this was around the time when I became a part of the Lobby Zero team as well. That was, I think the timing just worked out sort of perfect in order for us to also kind of like, put our foot into the esports scene. The first event that we had was in collaboration with a YouTube creator called AVC Gaming, who was at the time hosting a Valorant tournament, but we thought like, we can add a little bit of jazz and, add a Lob Zero touch to it, and we collaborated with him, and that was kind of a pretty big Valorant event in terms of just Lobby Zero, coming out as a brand and putting ourselves as the face of the ground zero of gaming. So over there, I think the players that we had were pretty much like, I think 60% of the team were like tier one players of Valorant in India itself that took part in the event. So that kind of went well. That was the first event that we had, under the Lobby Zero brand. And then after that, we had the Lobby Zero Blast Off series, the Rocket League tournament, which was in collaboration with RL India, because like we cannot really use the term like Rocket League for branding any event. So we had to go off with the Blast Off series name, and that was the second event. That was actually the first event we had in collaboration with the Discord server, just to see like how the response was. And considering the Rocket League scene in India, which is not exactly that highly marketed compared to other countries outside, we had a pretty good response also over there. And we were able to pull in, if I'm not wrong, close to 18 teams for the tournament. And even that went on like, really well, smoothly. Uh, and the response in general was good. I think the timing was a bit off because we decided to do that when all these guys were having their examinations and stuff. So
Yeah.
the general turnout for Rocket League tournament in comparison to that was lesser, but looking at the timing and people going through examinations, we did have uh, you know enough people pulling in and actually showing up for the tournament as well.
Yeah, I think
I think
that
the
was
big, yeah.
like that was also a point where we were exploring a couple of new ideas. Like we also had a little bit of a learning curve there in terms of interacting with like a Discord server and stuff, because the
Yeah.
concept behind it was, we're like a very young and small team, so how can we pull off something, and how do we approach it in an efficient way and like a viable way to make something like this happen? Because look, we might be a team of like 6, 7, 8 people at that time. um
Yeah.
but those 6, 7, 8 people are not in a position to like host and make a tournament happen across multiple titles, right, that
Yeah.
are very different in nature. So the thought behind that was, how do we make something happen with that range, but in a very professional and viable way. So that's where like the whole Discord partnership thing came in. And I think that was the first one where we had that conversation. And
Hmm.
Nishant Nishant
Yeah.
from that team was a great person to work with. I feel like also set the standard for someone who ideally would be that cooperative and help to make things happen, to understand. Like I went in, and me personally, I'm actually not as familiar as Rahul is with the esports scene in general. I mean, Rocket League is a whole another game. I don't think even Rahul had that much context, but
Yeah.
um, to be able to meet up with a guy like Nishant, and to slowly make our inroads into the community of gaming and find people like that who are willing to
Hmm.
help. Because at the end of the day, one thing that we realize, especially having more and more conversations with Discord servers, is because that's really the heart of the communities in this country, right? Gaming community in the country. So when you talk to those people, you realize that regardless of whether it's their business or their community or their company, they just they have this common goal of elevating the gaming culture in the country. So when someone authentic like us approaches them and says, "Hey, we want to make something happen," they're willing to teach. They're willing to take their time, be patient, explain, go the extra mile if they need to make something happen. So yeah, that was a really cool experience for me, just to have that conversation and learn how to do things. And I think we also learned about a few new tools and how to use them in the
Yeah.
context of this stuff like
And
that.
we're gonna talk about how we got the lead.
Yeah, you can talk
So
about it.
if you're gonna again, it all goes back to taking,
Yeah,
utilizing your leftovers.
yeah,
We actually did a sale for Rocket League, like for a small group of like 20 people. Like we did a hoodie sale when we were back at Hoodie Inc.
yeah.
And then again, like 20 wasn't like a huge number at that particular point in time, but then it went so smoothly that they actually came back the next show
Right.
and they got another 2025. I think that's the first time we actually shipped a hoodie to Russia, I think.
Mm.
And so we got a solid contact. His name is Lakshay, I'm not sure. And
Lakshya. Yeah.
basically, yeah, so I was in touch with him because, like, I told him, listen, if you need anything ever, you come to me. Like, and we didn't even have the business at one point. I'm like, you still come to me. Like, and I think I remember, like, getting in touch with him with regard to uh, Discord server. And then I remember asking him, and then he's like, oh, yeah, I'm part of a server which has like around 2,500 people. And I was like, okay, is there any way I can get in touch with the guy that's managing? He's like, yeah, of course. And then we got his number, and then I think I passed around Isaac, and then Isaac just gave him a call, and then he was extremely professional. And then I think it just, like that was that first conversation, like him talking about the inroads. I think that, so I think like the takeaway here is you really don't know who can actually turn out to be valuable. Like, so just keep
That's true.
having conversations. And I think that's been key for me, like in life in general. So you don't know where it's going to come from. So just
Yeah.
don't be afraid to have that conversation. You're really not going to lose anything. So yeah, just might as
Actually,
well.
yeah. No, that's a good point because I was
Hashtag
just having.
networking.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just having a conversation with Deb earlier today, and we were talking about how some of these servers aren't really expressing interest. So Deb was asking me like, okay, cool, like if they're not expressing interest, like why are we sticking around? Why are we trying to have conversation? And one thing, I mean, for a second I was trying to process that, but then I realized, adding on to that point, we're also at a stage where we're bringing new things onto the market also. Like, so we're gonna have people that we contact. So when you're trying to do something new or innovative in the space, and you try to have conversations with people, like I was able to realize that we should just be patient and just wait and like at least have that first conversation happen. And after that, after us explaining everything, if they express disinterest, fine. But even if they express disinterest or are even borderline a little dismissive, let's say, and might slightly hurt your ego or whatever, it shouldn't affect you as much because they haven't understood the value that we can bring to the table. Like they haven't processed it yet. They haven't understood it yet. Um, and it's because I heard these other guys, other Discord servers come to us and be like, the first time we're hearing this, that we were able to say like, it's fine. Like let's see when he comes around. Let's just get that first meeting, that one meeting. Let's have that first conversation and
Yeah.
pitch the idea. And if they turn after that, then great. But if not, no worries. We move on. That's it. But yeah,
At least like two people got to know about Log Zero.
exactly. So yeah, but back to it, Rahul. Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much it with the Blast Up series, which was Rocket League, and I think the biggest event that we had so far in terms of our esports side was the Call of Duty Mobile Clan Wars, the LZ Clan Wars event, which we did in collaboration with ESM India. That is again another Discord server that primarily focuses on Call of Duty Mobile. But the number of members over there, it's like huge. I think the number, if I'm not wrong,
11K.
goes up to 11K, somewhere in between the range of 11 to 15K. Could be more, could be less. I'm not sure. It's like, from memory. But they were actually really interested in doing the collaboration with us when we said that, okay, we'll put in the prize pool. And they even, were willing to do the rest of the management on their own end in terms
Yeah.
of like, making sure there are enough players coming in and stuff. So I think if I'm not wrong, they registered 100 teams for this event, and it went for a week long. And the last 2 days of the event, we had it, streamed live on our YouTube channel, which, from my expectation, we had a really good response because for a channel that is doing a live stream for the first time, we were able to hit the highest concurrent of 35 viewers, which is sort of absurd when you think about, like, I've seen other esports channels where, like, only 6 people or 7 people show up and, like, they'll be just watching the match, but, like, just 30, 35, and not just, like, empty numbers. It was like a pretty fast chat as well, like, people
Yeah.
supporting the teams and,
Engaged. Yeah.
backing them up, like, when they're losing rounds and, all that pressure is going on. So I think that was so far the biggest event we had in terms of esports.
I think
And
the
even,
coolest.
840 participants, by the way. 840 participants, 120 18s. That's like
oh yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah, that was pretty big. But I think one of the coolest things for me watching that stream, like when I was just sitting back and watching the stream for the first time, like I was watching this esports event happen on the Lobby Zero channel, and there's people watching and there's chat. All of this is organic,
yeah.
and the casting, like so.
Oh yeah, we need to, like,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, so that's a totally different story altogether, because the day one we had a pretty big disaster in terms of the casting situation. Like, we were able to manage the broadcasting, but the casting after like 2 matches was just kind of like, no offense, but it was sort of dead. Like, for an esport event, it was sort of dead. So this is where, like, so the all the events actually, like the CODM complete event, like, I want to give a big shout out and a lot of credits to Debraj also on this, because he managed it flawlessly. Like, he was in touch with the moderators, with the admins of the server, and made sure, like, everything was going smoothly. But the biggest clutch that he came up with was on the day of our finals, even the semifinals and finals, where he was able to bring in 2 casters who actually are professional casters. And the funniest part was that usually, like, in your mind, you might think, like, for casters to gel along during an event and have this sort of conversation going on, through the matches, they need to have a certain synergy. But big shout out to Outcon and Arca. Those are the 2 casters that, Debraj was able to contact and get them on board. And I think we had the conversation with Arca an hour before the event, and with Upcon it was just 5 minutes before the event was starting. But dude, like, both of them just came on, killed it. The event was mind blowing. Like, I literally just wanted, like, I was the one handling the broadcasting. I wanted to stop that and just watch the event, because the
yeah.
casting was, like, so
Like
energetic.
the level of energy just like was just crazy. Like I was watching, and I
mean,
was like, I was so entertained. Like my brain was in overdrive because I was listening to them like in tandem with whatever was going on in the game. Just full energy, the speed, there was speed, but it was intelligible. Like I could understand what they were saying, and it was
yeah.
awesome. I felt like the energy was real, man. The energy was real, and in that moment I realized how important that component is when it comes to holding an event like that.